How much do you see maybe in your own life with your own monetary practices and trading and investing and what have you?
Like where you going?
Yeah. How much of that is predicated just on your narrative today, and how has that shifted from when you weren't making bread or when you lose bread and then you're trying to come back up? Like, talk to me about that, because you're deeper into the investments and the trading side than I am. So I know that you have to wrestle with your own psychology there almost as frequently as you're going in and out of trades. So talk to me about that.
So I'm so glad you brought that in. Sometimes I get a little scattered on this conversation because
For sure.
like a squirrel. But basically,
there's a lot of things to talk about.
It's that same idea that what your thoughts are and what you are as a vibration is going to mean you're either closer to some disharmonious frequency that you don't really want, or if you don't even have that clarity, how do you know what is harmony, right? Because some notes are dissonant by design. You know, you have B flats, you know, you have all these different notes, but
going to music, here we go.
You know what I mean? Like, not to take it too far in that direction, but just it's all vibrations. Several years ago, I didn't have the greatest relationship with money. Part of that's because I grew up and we didn't have a whole lot of it. And I was never...
Dare you say scarcity?
Yeah, there was definitely a scarcity.
Like that was a framework?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just not growing up seeing an abundance of money. And basically, I felt like what I saw was people who were afraid of money. Obviously, they wanted it, but they were afraid of the consequences. They were afraid of not having enough. They were afraid of spending too much. They were afraid of money. And so their relationship was one of fear, and it was a bit of an adversarial relationship to finances. And several years ago, as I really just started trying to do a lot more work with myself and just study how to just level up my whole spirit so I could, you know, have this be my last go round, you know, as a spirit incarnating in flesh. And what I realized or came to find out was money it's magnetic, like everything else. And at the end of the day, money wants people who want it, but your relationship with it, most people is going to be one of two poles. Either you think money is bad, and so you're kind of upset, you're mad at money, you got beef with money because, oh my God, why is money so important? People value money too much, and if I could only, I'd be able to do X, Y, Z if it weren't for the money barrier.
That's a narrative that a lot of people keep.
A lot of people have that narrative because they're not necessarily taught the opposite of that. Now, the flip of that is just seeing money as what it is. Money is optionality. Money is energy. It's just energy units. And so when one brings in money, when one spends money, it's really just a representation of some degree of energy transfer. And there's so many steps along the way that can help somebody's relationship with it. And one thing that's really simple is be grateful anytime you touch money, because oftentimes people will silo how they view money. So if one were to walk past $1 on the ground, they may not, oh, that's a fucking dollar if they walk past a quarter. But if they walked past $1 million, all of a sudden they're excited about it. Well, if you're not excited about the 25 cents, if you're not excited about the $1, why are you excited about the million? Because the million is literally just a million of those dollars, right? And just kind of beginning to realize that there's just different levels to it. And a practice that one could put into place is a couple things I'll leave y'all with. One of them is just celebrate anytime money comes in, no matter what the amount is.
$5, $20, 30 cents.
Be as grateful for it as if it was $1 billion you just earned, because that begins to show money that you appreciate it, that you value it.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much money will just come out of nowhere, quote unquote nowhere.
Nowhere. Another practice is just get used to seeing money, get used to feeling money, right? Just make it where it's normal to think about money, to talk about money, to want money, to spend money, to
None of it's taboo. None of it is
taboo. You're not a bad person for wanting money. You're not shallow for wanting money. I am going to make hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in this lifetime, right? And I know that for a fact. So at what point am I going to start moving like that? Because if somebody is afraid of spending $1,000, if they're afraid, so recently I brought on a coach for the marketing side of things with Native Assets. It cost 5 figures. But it's like, okay, cool. Well, if I'm afraid to spend that,
What are you communicating to yourself, and what are you communicating to everyone about native assets, subliminally? Because how are you going to move then if you're not willing to bring on a coach for 5 figures, if you're not willing to put, your money where your mouth is, mm-hmm. and you don't communicate to the world and to everybody else that you believe in this?
It's
what do I actually do,
Of the scared money doesn't make money, because if you want money to come in, you have to be, because it's one doorway, right? There's one door that when it comes in and goes out.
There's not A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's the same path. So if you're afraid to walk out of the door, money's not going to be as easily ready to come in that door. Effectively, if you think about it like this, if you want to have a wall where you never let money leave, well, that wall is going to prevent money from ever coming in. And so it's a whole dynamic that one has to change, and one will realize over time, as I did, that once you begin to really work on that relationship and create a not an adversarial relationship with money, but a loving relationship, mm-hmm. a camaraderie relationship with money, where you see it as your pal, your buddy, right?
You're in the trenches with it. Done. Yeah, they're carrying the boats with you,
Yeah, they carry those boats, and sometimes, y'all have some space between you. Just like with great friends, it may be a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, maybe a couple years between y'all really tapping in with each other. Just like sometimes money will flow in like never has.
And like the faucet.
Where it's like, damn, I feel like I'm just running through this bread. But so long as one is being diligent and you're not just fucking the money up, right? Yeah. Then just understand that if you want an abundance to come in, there's going to be, relatively to maybe somebody else's life, an abundance of money going out, but it's a yin-yang, it's a high tide, low tide thing. Yeah. And just realize that so long as you are exerting some type of discipline around how you're spending the money once you acquire it, and this comes back to having those affirmations and having clarity on what it is you intend to do with the money. That's the last thing I'll say, as I found that to be another way to level up how much came in, is to get exquisite vision on what you're going to do with each dollar to the ability that you can. Because otherwise, there's kind of like this, he who does not know what they're going to do. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And so if you don't know what you're going to do when the bread comes in, you might fuck it off because you didn't realize that, okay, you needed this much to go to this thing, you needed this much to go here, you needed this much to go here. And if you're doing it the right way, most of that expenditure is going to be in such a way that it's going to bring back many-fold what you had to spend. And so that's just, a little snippet on money in particular, but we could literally do a whole episode just on psychology of money. But just
and I think we should at one time. But I was just, mm-hmm. That's something you don't get to escape money. I mean, if you're in this plane, if you're in these bodies, if you can understand what we're saying here, you probably speak English and you're probably in a more developed nation. And so if that's a thing, then you can't escape money. I mean, It's fiat is a way that people are exchanging value for things. I mean, you're not going to be able to get away with it or without it, and so you might as well figure out how to operate better with it. Because I think that's something just like the psychology around, you jumping in new ventures, you in relationships, you in the gym. Like, you have to affirm yourself in multiple areas, but money is somewhere that you can look at anyone that has the capability to listen to this. Mm-hmm. You have a relationship with money whether you know it or not. Yeah. And so why not be one of abundance? Why not be one of gratitude? Why not us push you that direction to think about that? Because you really might be fucking up your own money right now because your relationship with money is shit. Mm-hmm.